Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of my Road to 185 Overhead Press series. This is part 2, and I have some exciting stuff to report on already. First and foremost, my 1 rep max is now 160 pounds. I hit that about a little over a week ago. So I'm up 5 pounds from 155 from the previous part. So already we've made some good progress on the lift. That leaves me about 25 more pounds I gotta put on the bar to hit the goal of 185. So that's pretty sick. Every 5 pound increment on the overhead press is an amazing jump in strength. So I'm pretty happy with my progress so far. But not only that, I also recently hit a 300 pound bench press. Close grip, pause. Which further proves my point, at least in my case, that the main weak link in my pressing strength is the vertical press, the overhead press, and my shoulders in general are my lagging point. So by simply increasing my overhead pressing strength, my horizontal pressing strength, the bench press and any other version of it, has gone up just by pushing my numbers on the overhead press. I've only been doing, if it comes down to flat pressing, I've only been doing Larson press once a week on my arm days. So the fact that I've added, 20 pounds from my previous best of 280, I mean, that was the first time I did competition style benching with leg drive in a long time, and I was able to get a massive PR like that by not even training the movement properly. It's a pretty good sign that you're going in the right direction. Now that being said, a 160 overhead press and a 300 pound bench press, to have a 140 pound discrepancy between one and the other is pretty nuts. And that's why I try to get across to you guys that some of you are just going to be naturally skewed towards one or the other. And in my case, I'm much more of a horizontal presser. So that's why and a 185 pound overhead press is just such a struggle for me. I know a lot of people kind of see that as, at least on this YouTube fitness space, 185 on the overhead press isn't seen as like a monumental achievement, but for me it certainly will be. That being said, again, my numbers are moving. I did make a couple changes recently. Why that's gonna for why that's happening, and I'll kind of go over that in this video. I recently brushed up on the videos by Omar Isuf and Alex Leonidas. They both made really good videos on the overhead press. They both put up a lot of weight on the overhead press. I believe Omar Isuf has done 235 or 245 for a 1 rep max, and Alex has done pretty effortless 225 on the overhead press as well. So they're both very strong vertical pressers, and their advice is something that I'm gonna heed obviously in this venture. One thing that I really took to heart was in Alex's video talking about taking a narrower grip, because a lot of people, they do their shoulder pressing and they kind of go outside of shoulder width for the sake of recruiting more of the shoulders, kind of their mentality. Well, he recommended going more narrow, allowing you to stack the wrist and the elbow better and get into a tighter position to press. Now that was really interesting for me, because I didn't really consider that to be a way to make the lift stronger. I would think that would make you weaker. I tried it out, and in fact I did immediately feel more stable and was able to produce more force. I'm also somebody who has a lot of tricep development. I'm somebody who, in my physique, my arm is, a rather, outstanding feature. So being able to utilize my limbs more, actually now looking back, makes perfect sense. So this is how I'm going to be pressing moving forward. Before, I was going thumb away from the smooth. Now I'm exactly at the knurling and the smooth with the index finger just kind of right there in the border of each. And that's kind of where I'm pressing from. I'll have a video kind of demonstrating it. I don't know if I have any necessarily at a good angle though, and I'll show what I'm talking about so that you guys have a visual representation outside of just me miming it. But that helped. I immediately hit PRs after incorporating that form. I was able to do 3x3 with 150 pounds, which is another massive PR from that previous part that I filmed about 2 weeks ago or so. So I'm up 5 pounds on the overhead press, and I hit a volume PR of 150 for a 3x3, which used to be my 1 rep max not too long ago. So again, trending in the right direction. We're doing really good so far. I'm pretty happy with my progress. I think 185, it's not going to be, a cakewalk, or getting there is not going to be necessarily, in a perfect world, if I were to be able to choose the time frame, it'd be by the end of this year, which is 2023. That would give me 2 months. I don't know if that's necessarily possible, but regardless, it's seeming like I might get there sooner rather than later. So pretty exciting stuff so far, guys. I just wanted to report in on that. Also, I just wanted to say, if you want a strong overhead press and you're somebody that's coming along this journey with me, it's a lift that's weak for you as well, I highly recommend you stick around, because as I figure this out, all that knowledge is obviously going to be valuable to you as well. And some pieces of advice that I can give you right now is very much emphasizing your tricep development, as well as your core development. The overhead press is a movement that, for a lot of us, we can get out of the bottom, and the sticking point is going to be around the forehead. This area here, this range of motion, is kind of what separates the men from the boys when it comes to this goddamn lift. And if you have weak triceps, you will never be able to get past that sticking point, and you will never be able to have a strong lockout. So what you need to do is really emphasize your tricep movements. You have to go heavy on them. A rep range I would prescribe is anywhere between 6 to 12 reps on your tricep isolation movements. I understand that may be out of the ordinary for a lot of you, and you might think that might be a little too harsh for the elbow joint, but I assure you, if you work up to it, you build up strong tendons in your elbows, you can do stuff like that and have it not be an issue. A movement that I would recommend highly for these, for the specific purpose of building up your lockout, would be the V-bar press down on a cable machine. I would recommend the JM press as well as any skull crushing variation. All of them are going to work great for building up big, meaty, strong triceps and give you a strong, stable lockout, which is going to benefit you across the board for any pressing movement, and in general just give you an amazing look to the arm. That, and of course, like I said previously, your core. The overhead press is an overhead press. Once that bar is above your head, and it's going through that range of motion, you have to be able to stabilize that, and that's going to require that your torso is relatively stable throughout the entire range of motion. If you're wobbling all around, you're going to be leaking force production, and you're not going to be able to push on the bar as best as you could had you trained your core and developed a stable trunk to be able to push off against. So definitely don't skip your ab isolation work. I recommend you do things like dead bugs. You could do planks, even weighted planks, weighted crunches of any kind. Just build strong, resilient abs, because once you get heavier and heavier on the overhead press, you do even risk injury more if you don't have a strong enough core. You could, get a hernia. You could hurt your spine. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things can go wrong if your core is a weak link on this lift. Highly recommend you emphasize, again, your triceps and your core to really push the overhead press to the next levels, because those two things, your stability and your ability to lock out the lift, are going to be some of the main limiting factors when it comes to something like the overhead press, where the weight, again, it goes from in front of you to above your head, and your torso is left to do the rest. Your glutes also, you want strong glutes because you have to keep them tight throughout the entire lift. So if you have weak glutes, again, that kind of goes into the whole core situation. Don't want that to happen. You want strong glutes. All of it needs to be strong. All of it needs to be sturdy to push properly. That being said, that's about all I have to report on. Again, let's go a brief rundown. My 1 rep max on the overhead press is currently 160 pounds. Round of applause for me. We're making progress. And I hit 150 for a 3x3. So those are my current stats. And that's about it. Yeah. See you guys in the next part. Hopefully I have something exciting to report on soon again. Things are moving well. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.